You broke it.
Geek Insider presents Geek Speak with Matthew Harris and Meredith Loughran. We cover entertainment, news, and tech with special guest appearances. So sit back and enjoy as we geek out together right now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Geek Speak. I'm Meredith Loughran, and my co-chair, Matthew Harris, is here with our special guest, Geek Estrada. He does comics, movies, paranormal, and all kinds of fun stuff. Let me pull this overlay off. Hey, Jake.
Hi. Hey,
Doing
guys,
a crow's face, just. And folks, if you're tuned in on Indie Vote Radio or on the podcast, don't forget we do this show live on Mondays and Thursdays on YouTube and Facebook, and you can see our lovely faces. And Jake is one that you just don't want to miss.
And speaking of lovely faces, we're going to put him up on the big screen so he can introduce himself a little bit better than I did.
Hey, everyone. My name is Geek Estrada. I'm 6'9". I'm full of rage. Well, am I? No, I'm full of love. Yeah, so like I said, I'm 6'9". I'm Geek Estrada. I'm the creator of Bookas. I create comic books. I create horror shows. I also do a weird little ghost show with Chuck Fresh called The Underpresidents, and I do various other things. And I also love comics, and I produce comics. So check me out. My name is Geek Estrada. I'm this big.
Now,
don't take any of his food either, okay?
Don't.
Yeah, you mentioned
that's murder, guys.
Now, you mentioned Underpresidents, and I've been asking Meredith about it, and she's been she wasn't sure if you guys were going to continue on. So are we going to see more from Underpresidents?
Yeah, there's going to be more. There's going to be a lot more Underpresidents. We're just waiting out this COVID-19. We got like Frozen, and then after we got Frozen, I started doing different things, and Chuck started doing different things. He's doing a lot of voice work and this and that. And we're waiting for it all clear, and then we're going to jump right back in because we have a huge story arc that we want to do.
Very cool. Very cool.
One of the, unfortunately, like that trickle-down effect of everything being kind of shut down is the fact that, I mean, even something like a paranormal show, where you can't just go to a haunted house. You can't go on location and things like that and hope that you're going to pick up anything on the equipment and stuff, and so that's really unfortunate. But I think on the positive side of that, a lot of creators are they're pivoting, they're finding other things to do. So I mean, tell us about some of these other things that you've been working on.
I actually went back to my first passion was creating comics. So when COVID-19 hit, I jumped right back in, started creating comic books. I released the Golden Cream earlier this summer, and then I started working on Bookas, again, the comic book, because, he originally started as a comic book character 20 years ago. So I decided, well, let me go back to my old boy in the comic book format. I wrote the script waiting for COVID-19 to blow over to make Bookas too. But in the meantime, it's still not safe to really go filming. So I started looking for locations. But then the idea started brewing and stuff like that for Bookas, the comic book. And I was like, well, I can make a middle story of all these characters that have been in the comic book, has been in the movies, and just have, their likeness based off the actors that are going to be in Bookas and Bookas too. So I started doing that. And then I also worked on Space Coast Comics revival too. So, I just keep on working. And I got a script from another friend of mine that wants me to draw his story. So I'm just been keeping busy that way, because comic books, it's another form of storytelling, and it's just, something that I love doing still. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, and you said that Bookas is how old?
He's over 20 years old at this point. He's getting old. He's getting old like me. I was like, I looked in the mirror like, man, I gotta really dye this because I want to look sexy for my fangirls out there if I have any.
So now, but you've also done screenplays and movies, and so that's another thing that's kind of on hold, isn't it? Bookas, the feature that you're doing.
What I was going to ask.
Yeah, the sequel is on hold right now. But I'm hoping, people keep on saying you and I were talking a few minutes ago we hoping that either the election cycle ends this all, or 2021 starts out great. Instead of people always talked about 2012. We need to talk about 2021. There's the numbers in reverse, right? So maybe the apocalypse is here, and we really can film it for.
Now, Jake, real quick, because we talked about Underpresence, but we didn't tell anybody what it is. So explain to everyone what Underpresence is, where they can find that first season, and then maybe give a little teaser of what y'all might have planned for season 2.
All right, so the Underpresence is a ghost hunting show that they're real investigations, but we had characters included. So we had drama that we were making. I played a character called Victor Pruna, and Chuck Fresh, my partner, he played a character called the Father Jesus, which was a character all in itself. And we had a great storyline there. We made first 6 episodes. We traveled all over Florida. The sequel, or not the sequel, the second season, we were going to have our show go across country, which we had places going into like Louisiana. We were going to film out there. We were filming in a few different locations. So we were going to go around like about a dozen different locations for season 2. And we had this whole story arc planned out for the hunt for Father Jesus, because Father Jesus at the end of the other presence went missing. So there was the whole drama with that, along with these real investigations.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. The going to Louisiana and doing the ghost hunting, man, you got bigger cojones than me, because I like the ghost stuff. I love it when it's real. Travel Channel can kiss my ass. I know that's scripted bullshit, but going to Louisiana, almost every ghost hunting place that you see, that's usually where they turn white, I should say. You can't see this white. Almost, just because it is such a high energy place. It has a lot of history, of course, and so much water. We all know spirits have something to do with where waterways and stuff. You see a lot more activity. But aside from Underpresence, Bocus is on hold. You have a Kickstarter going on that's about to end pretty soon, don't you?
Yeah, it's going to end November 18th. We've been pushing that as well, and I have a lot of different covers going. Hey, Trisha out there, how you doing? Doing good? Hopefully good. So anyway, Boca's Kickstarter is going, and we have a lot of different covers. I have covers from Ted Davis. I have
nice.
Nino Mezzarina cover. I even have a little Nino Mezzarina cover. I even have the photo cover of myself. You see me with a big gun. I'm growling on the cover. I got sketch covers. And then I have different packages. I have old packages where I have the original issue of Boca's available. I have a Blu-ray version for the first film of Boca's available on the package. I have multiple packages on the Kickstarter. And I also have get yourself drawn into a future issue of Boca's, and potentially a walk-on scene for Boca's. I got a bunch of different stuff thrown in there. I figure it's like a game of fish. You don't know what you're going to reel in.
Now, one of the things that I love that because we're fairly local, Jake. I think we are maybe within 3 hours driving, because I think we're on opposite coasts and stuff. And so when I saw that call this past summer, not this one but last summer, with the zombies scene, where you're going to do like a whole bunch of zombies and stuff like that. I was like, oh my God, I want to be there. And then everything was shut down. I was like, damn it.
This COVID-19 stuff is basically taking my mojo away. I always tell. Like I've talked to Chuck and in depth about this. So going on about like, dude, man, this is like a buzzkill. It's like I ain't having any fun. And it's like I'm being anally raped by this year. I just want to get out there and do things. And it's like, no, just wait. I'm like, man, where's the mom at? Mom, where are you?
Mom, can I? What did your dad say?
Right. See, now whenever that happened, my father always said, if your mom says ask your dad, the answer is yes. So she learned really quickly to have an answer ready. But so Jake, what are you planning for Halloween then? Because one of the things that we were talking about.
Halloween's every day for me.
It's the high holidays, right?
Yeah.
Nothing planned for Halloween then?
I'm just probably going to go out with my kids, to maybe my mom, visit my mom, and we'll probably dress up in the house and make believe stories and watch some horror films on TV. That's Halloween this year.
See, I'm breaking all the rules. We're having a get together at the house, but we're doing it outside. We're going to have a bonfire. It's a little chilly.
That's nice.
Here.
At least there's outside and surround. That's cool,
right.
Bro.
And but it's just. My wife, my mother-in-law who live in this house, one of the sister-in-laws and her daughter are coming, and then my best friend, and maybe literally a couple of other people. But again, like you said, we're doing it outside. Will we have masks on? No, but we will be. Halloween is my high holiday. It always has been. I mean, you can see I got all this.
Yeah, you got a beautiful set out there, bro.
But appreciate it. And Halloween has always been the holiday that I celebrate bigly, to catch a phrase, and it sucks, man. I mean, we all have to make adjustments with the pandemic. How has it? And I don't even know what you do as a day job, but how has it affected your day job? And if so, how so?
So my day job, I work as a school teacher.
Oh crap!
High school teacher. So literally, I wear one mask, and I have a face shield, and then I'm like out here, and then the kids are coming up like, whoa, stay there, holler at me. This is your chance to scream at me. Just scream at me what you want to tell me. You're not going to get in trouble. So they're yelling at me. I'm like, okay, I got your problem. So meanwhile, I have kids physically, I have kids online. So literally, I'm like, they're talking, and I'm trying to teach a lesson. So then the kids that are online, they're talking. I'm like, oh, let me mute you. Don't want you to. Actually, like that, I can mute the ones online.
Right. Well, the ones in the classroom, you should just get a set of walkie-talkies that they pick up at the beginning of class. Yeah. You just stay in your seat. You can walkie-talkie me.
Yeah. So it's been a challenging year as a school teacher. Really, like literally, you can't even take the kids to the cafeteria to eat lunch in my classroom right now. And then, and then how we do it, when they're leaving, you got to like make sure you have so much distance. And this is high school, and then, it's like a whole nother world. I kind of feel like I'm in a Twilight Zone episode.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you guys? You mentioned that you have some in person and some virtual. Are they swapping that off, or are there just some that are like, I'm not coming to school, or my kid's not coming to school? You do them virtual. How's that working?
So here in Florida, I don't know how it is in the rest of the country, but I know in Florida they have the way DeSantis made it is where kids can do online till January, and then they're supposed to return back to school. Now, I don't know if that's going to change anywhere from now to January, but that's pretty much how it is. So by January, all the ones that are online are supposed to return back to the classroom. So I don't know from there,
Gotcha. And of course, we don't know what's 2 months away, let alone 2 weeks away. Things are not looking good right now. If you look at the numbers,
they're just going up.
Meredith and I, our boss, his wife works at Johns Hopkins. And just things are not sounding too copacetic right now. But I keep trying to have that PMA, that positive mental attitude of we're going to get things better. But it's just a wait and see. Folks, if you're listening to this, just do what you can. Masks aren't a political statement. If you're carrying the virus, you could be asymptomatic and you're passing it on to everyone you're around for up to several days before you even know it. It could even be weeks, 2 weeks. And wash your damn hands and just keep social distancing. Yeah. Well, the old spit wash that I used to do to get the snuff and weed resin off my fingers. That's not really good enough, but go ahead, Meredith.
Here's the thing that I wanted to talk about because I'm wearing the t-shirt.
Space Coast Comic-Con!
You know what? And I had the pleasure of being there before the world shut down. So I wanted to know. Can you tell us anything? Yeah. Can you tell us anything about what might be happening? I know you said that there are going to be talks and stuff like that, but what are the grand plans for that? I mean, what if everything was back to normal, what would that look like for you?
Well, that will look like we'll have the damn convention immediately.
Yes.
That's one thing. That convention ain't going nowhere. I mean, it might be postponed, might be slowed down, but we're having that thing. That thing's, that's more or less, that's the crown jewel here in Brevard County. That convention, we've had that convention for years now. It's just one of those things where David and I are going to have a meeting. Talk about it, how we can proceed and how we're going to proceed. So that's kind of that's a given. Once everything is set or cleared up, we're running with that show. Because that show, it's like a brother. You can't kill it.
I'm saying that was our hope, was that by this time, or by Space Coast this year, we were going to be able to fly myself out there and get a table and be able to set up with a Geek Insider and doing interviews with everybody as they came through. And then awesome. That's why we pivoted when the world did shut down, and we started doing, we were one of the first virtual cons. I will pat us on the back here.
You did. I mean, you were the guys that did it first, and the next thing you know, everyone's, they could do it. I'm going to do it too.
But then
we're still learning. We're still figuring it out, but yeah.
And they tried to make a lot of those try to make money off of the backs of visitors and guests. And that's the one thing that we stayed away from, is we want people to be able to show up free of charge, no kind of table charge or anything like that, and not charging people to come and watch it. Even $1. To me, if we were doing it for a charity or something, that would be great. But for us to do it, just to do it, it's to me and to Meredith and to Rhett, the owner, just seemed too self-serving. And that's why this is our fifth indie event that's coming up in mid-November.
Yeah, fourth one
since April. And we, the folks that are out there doing these virtual cons, that you made us not even want to use Virtual Con or Independence Con as a name because of the fleecing. And
I know,
we fully expect, and this was our hope before COVID, was that we would have these kind of virtual cons going hand in hand with the brick and mortar cons. We would have feet on the ground at the cons and be doing live feeds and just, kind of, I love Carl, having those, the two worlds mesh together. And of course, right now, as far as most states go, there are some underground cons going on, and I know some people that are pushing it and going to those, and some of them have to, trying to make a living because their feet the rug was pulled out from under them in March and April when everything got shut down.
Yeah.
Do you foresee that continuing on, Jake, after the pandemic ends, of just that kind of melding of the two, or do you think everyone will go back to brick and mortar and to hell with the internet?
I think the fact is the internet's here to stay. So that's number one. We know that the internet's part of the world. Everything's online. I think that having a show like this meld into a regular full-time, show, it's a no-brainer. Having you guys on site, doing it live, bringing in people, guests that can't make it to the physical show can log on to a page like this and be part of the event as well. And, it's going nowhere. In fact, you guys have built an inroad, an infrastructure where I can see it possible and I can see it exploding. And it's great that it's free for people to come log in, because there are the ones where they try to get money from, and that's ludicrous. That's out of your mind. I can see if you got a sponsor, if you have the numbers to come in, but you got to build the numbers first. You got to build the views so you can get people. And I mean, if you're going to charge them like, hey, you got to pay me $5 to be on my thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay $5 to sit online when I could go make my own competitive one and be like, I'm here online outside of yours.
Well, you know what? And that segues really nice into, yeah. What?
I was just going to segue off of that. He said, unless you have sponsors, let's take a quick second to give a shout out to one of our sponsors.
Yeah.
Check it out. MobileEdge.com has award-winning products with innovative features and contemporary, edgy designs that empower you to look sharp and travel smart with your mobile tech. Your beloved, not to mention expensive gaming gear and mobile tech devices are an extension of you, so give them the protection and style they deserve wherever you go. Find them at MobileEdge.com and protect your tech with Mobile Edge. Bring it on. Hey Geek Insiders, Mobile Edge has a special coupon code for our dedicated listeners. Get 25% off your Mobile Edge gear using coupon code GEEK25. That's GEEK25. Geek out.
And we're back with our special guest, Jake Estrada. Woo, Boca!
Not that I did this on purpose, but I'm actually wearing a Mobile Edge. Well, if I can do it right.
All right.
Well, hell, I can't do it right with this damn mirror effect. But anyway, it's a Mobile Edge shirt. Trust me.
The whiskey had nothing to do with it, folks.
Hey, I'm on the first one. It absolutely had nothing to do with it. I'm good for 3 more before things start getting affected.
So, Jake, I actually wanted to ask you because you mentioned something in the previous segment about the Comic Cons building up a reputation and things like that. Having done the bricks and mortar, and last year was not your first year out of the gate. It took a while for you to build that up. Can you tell us a little bit about that process? Like, what possessed you to first start your own kind of bricks and mortar Comic Con?
All right,
and then what made you keep going? Because it couldn't have been easy.
So for starters, Space Coast Comic Con was born out of the mind of David Grayson, his wife, and his family. So they created Space Coast Comic Con, and me kind of like this other renegade. I was doing Space Coast Comics, which is a magazine right here, Space Coast Comics. I started this, which I was generated by advertisers and stuff like that. Like I got advertisers and everything. I heard this guy was doing Space Coast Comic Con. I went up to him and I'm like, hey, I do this comic magazine. You need to put an advertisement in the magazine. And he was like, okay. I guess I intimidated him because David Grace is a real tiny guy. And he did. We became friends. And before long, he made me a partner of Space Coast Comic Con. So I came in, I slid into the position of his partner, and we started to push this show out there, making it bigger. And I saw from the infancy the show. So his show, in the beginning, he had this idea. He loved anime, but he expanded into all nerdom for the Comic Con, and we ended up becoming partners. And we just jumped at it. And I mean, we've had ups and downs with the show because we've also not only did we do Space Coast Comic Con, we also created a cosplay one called Cosography.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so we did that too. So we had 2 shows at one time, and then we also helped Terrence Baker once create his ICC Con. We had ICC Con 2 with him, and we did ICC Con 3. And making conventions is really a tedious task because you never know who's going to be the right guest and is it going to be the right time. And then you got to contend with natural disasters like hurricanes.
Right.
Yeah, because Florida.
Yeah.
And
now COVID-19.
But the smaller cons, and I speak this with absolute 100% truthfulness. I went to a con. It's called Bell County Comic Con here in Texas. It's a small town in Bell County, and I went to it. Me and my buddy went. He has to push me around in a wheelchair, but we had a freaking blast. There was cosplay everywhere. There was 2 arenas full, and people everywhere. Artist Alley. You just had it on, and some great guests. Well, then we go to Austin 6 months later, I think, and I hate to call them out, but I'm going to. I hadn't been, but it was Wizard World. We went to Wizard World, Austin, and even though I had press credentials and the guests treated me like crap, Greg Brady, I say this a lot. Screw you, dude. You haven't been pertinent since the fucking 70s. But There was also some
Don't
cool.
make them shoot us. Come on.
There was also some cool guests, but I expected it was in a big arena downtown Austin. I expected it to be badass, lots of cosplay that I was going to be able to interview and get them interested in Geek Insider, and it was a bust, man. I mean, you would go down aisles, and there wasn't anybody there, maybe a couple of people. And
yeah, the bigger shows are hard though. The bigger shows are either it's too many people or not enough people. And most of the guests they got are miserable because it's too big,
right.
and then Wizard World has a notorious rep having crappy shows anyway. You know,
they bring on people that were pertinent 30 years ago.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, they're like
the
Z-grade at this point.
Yeah, the mass majority. Now, don't get me wrong, I loved Smallville. But when you got folks that were on Smallville hasn't been pertinent in many years, folks.
I know, like a decade and a half almost.
Right. And then you got the Fonz there, and he's being a dick to people. And you got
Henry.
And you got Greg Brady being a dick to people. And I was just totally just put off by that. But Bell County, the smaller one, has built. I was so looking forward to it because it was supposed to happen this month, October or September, right in here, and maybe it was August, but anyway, right in this area. And that was just such a badass con. I mean, I went and registered as soon as you could register for press credentials because my buddy and I mean, we saw some of the best cosplay there, met some of the best artists around that were unknown to me at that time. And when I went, Meredith was just new or just getting her feet wet with Geek Insider. We didn't really start getting into our push for the indie brands and everything because I've been an indie lover forever. I bring Meredith on board. I find out she's an indie lover. And it has just blossomed to where Geek Insider, we could try to go and do the mainstream stuff. We do get some mainstream stuff, mainstream actors and press releases and stuff, but we love the indies, and we're building these relationships with IFC and with Shudder and with Full Moon Features, and then with folks like yourself that are just a jack of all trades when it comes to indie creation. Yeah. But, we talked about how the pandemic has affected you, and, you kind of had a stall and you've kind of pivoted. What are you seeing with your friends that are in, indie creators? Are you seeing the gamut like a lot of us that some are depressed and not doing shit? And the way.
Some people have put pencils down, and some people have been like
doing nothing but writing every day.
Yeah.
It's really hard, for independent guys to begin with anyway. And then when you take away all their outlets where they can show their wares and everything like that, the only real heroes are you guys who hold the online stuff, But then you get some of the guys that get kind of tunnel vision and they still want to just do everything the old way too, Right. Well, it's not the same. I'm just gonna put my pencil down and I'm gonna wait. And I'm like, in the end, I'm sorry to say, time waits for no person, no man, And you have to continuously try to pivot and evolve your craft, your trade, and new, more enterprising ways because the world's changing on a constant anyway. It took COVID-19 to change the world in an online direction, which was coming anyway. Right. There was no stopping this at all. It would have
just made it faster.
Exactly, just faster.
And our buddy Rob Anderson put it in April when we had the very first indie event where we met you. Rob Anderson said, if you come out of this pandemic as an indie creator of any sort, writer or a comic book artist, a director, but if you come out of this pandemic without creating something, you can never blame not having enough time as to your reasons of not creating. And I've quoted him so many times throughout the last months because he's right, folks. And I'm a case in point. I have not created all that much of my own stuff. I've been trying to get Geek Insider and some of our other projects going. And being the managing editor, I can make every excuse in the book as far as, oh no, I'm busy.
You work in this though, and this is a hard job as well. So you are creating stuff still. So you're still in the creative process, but you're still looking for guests. You're still trying to direct it into a different thing. So that is still creative. That's still you being creative.
That's a good point, man.
And that actually segues really nice into directing, because Jake, I don't know if you want to talk too much about it, but you've got Zoomed.
That's right.
Which I happen to know about because
you're right in it. You're one of the characters of this show.
What the hell is this?
Surprise!
Right. Yeah, Zoom is an online type of, like, we're using. I was using actually Zoom to make fun of the world that we're living in. It was about a bunch of geeks that get together, but they can't get together because of COVID-19, and now they're getting online to talk about their favorite serial killers, and and slowly they start going missing one at a time, and there's a huge mystery behind. Yeah, so we've directed a lot of that over Zoom, and there's a few scenes that actually I did film outside of Zoom that I actually was able to get Jonathan involved with, and I got
Jonathan
David.
Hedrick. Yep.
Yeah. David Grace, my partner in Space Coast Comic Con's in it, and we have Cecil Gardner. We have quite a few people, that are in this thing, and it's pretty fun. And I came up with a little problem, mostly my fault, but.
You know what? I can't say that it was your fault. It happens. It happens. Yeah. But you're gonna keep going through with it and getting it done.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. No matter what, I always muscle through everything, and I get things done. If it takes me a year and a half, 2 years, whatever, it's going to get done because this idea is awesome. And I had the great opportunity. Meredith was free. She has a character in it. She did a great job. I think everybody did a great job. I mean, it's fun. It's been fun, and the Zoom time killer lives.
And that brings up a great point, man. Over the last month and a half, 2 months maybe, we've seen some really cool web series starting to crop up. And we had a group on here, the Dead Enders. We've got another one in the works, and I won't reveal their name simply because I can't remember it right now. but they're in the works, and they're way interested in showing up. Because I like them. As I said, we love the indies, and web series to me, that is about as indie as you can get as far as filmmaking.
That's grassroots, 100%.
Do you foresee, Jake, as that being a viable outlet going forward? Again, once the pandemic ends, we talked about cons or virtual cons continuing on. Do you think web series still have a place in the world? Yes,
they do. I see that's the way of the future. Everything is micro managed. Everything is online. Everybody's on their phones, like Meredith was showing. Yep. Without that, everything's going to be online. Everything is online already. I mean, we just had what was it? Quibi collapse. I mean, the format was terrible. I tried it out. I was like,
right. No. Same here. I tried it out for like 10 minutes, and I was like,
but they had a great idea. And I think when one of those bigger companies swallow it up and take all the good things from it, and they ebb and flow, because no matter what, we're all in the mood, we all love this, but every now and then when you do get home, you want to be able to pop on your television and watch something on your television, and that was the downfall of Quibi. They didn't have an app that lets you watch it on the big screen. Right. And that's what I didn't like about that. But besides that, though, I think, what our culture, that's not going nowhere. Online content, web shows is the place to be, and if anything, there's where the big leagues recruit all the guys anyway. They see them, you see them enough times before you know it. You see a web guy pop up on some show, even if they're an extra, like on The Blacklist. Right. That's the way the world we live in, and it's just not going nowhere. If someone says that's going to go away after this is over, they're on drugs, man, and they're on bad drugs.
Yeah. Well,
Now,
that's the thing. It's like people have the capacity of making movies on their phone.
Yeah.
They can get on Skype, they can get on Zoom or StreamYard, and you can make movies and things
Yeah.
like that. You have a
All day
script, you
long.
have a bunch of people who have the same passion of creating something, and you're like, you know what? I don't care if it's ridiculous or anything. I mean, this is a throwback, only the digital version of when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Where we had the old camcorders and stuff like that. And we made our own
Blair
scripts.
Witch was a perfect example of that. You know how crappy that was, but everybody
You know,
watched it. Like,
yeah.
what's going to happen next?
And we talked to a director just a couple of weeks ago. I forget which guest it was, but he had a buddy that they created a badass film on just
Oh, I think we're losing. Is it me or is it Matthew that's losing internet?
Yeah, he just got frozen there.
Yeah. Matthew, you might have to go ahead and hit refresh, Matthew. Get back in here. So while he's doing that, you know what I want to do is I want to share the screen here, and I don't know if I'm going to have audio for it, but I want to share your Kickstarter, your Bocas Volume 2. Let me share that here. Can you see that all right?
Yes, I see it.
All right. So talk us through here. So you've got 22 days to go. You've got 20 backers. You've already reached goal, which is great. So now you're looking at stretch goals.
Yeah,
right?
I threw in a few stretch goals there, a few digital downloads, and then we hit $1,000. I sent you the Golden Cream Core, and I'm also showing the Human Virus, which was the zombie movie you were talking about that you were going to show up for, and then I got the little trailer on the bottom there so people could check it out. So we have all the little stuff we already unlocked the Screw Phillips, which was the other stretch goal. I mean, I only was asking for $750. I just needed just enough so I could print up the copies I wanted, and then to get the story out there. And you see Bocas looking a lot like me, looking kind of sexy, like the creator. I'm kind of vain.
Yeah,
people,
little shirtless there going on. Yeah.
I mean, I don't quite got a 6-pack these days. All the eating the pizza has caught up with me, but I still imagine it. So I drew myself.
You know what my husband says? My husband says the party ball is much more fun than a 6-pack anyway. So
yeah, these days it is. I mean, especially if you got to sit there and work out for like 3-4 hours. You're like, oh yeah, no, I can't eat but a salad, guys. Sorry.
100% for the dad bod. All right, 100%.
Yeah. So I'm playing with the art. I like playing with the art. I went with this whole like black and white and a little bit of dab of color and the mix of everything. And I'm going with Bocas, and then the old character Johnny's there, and they're going up. If people look through the comic book, you see Bocas looks like me, and then Johnny's based off of my uncle John. I got a bunch of other characters. Even later I don't want to give it away, but there's another character that was also in the movie appears in the issue, and we have that's covered by me there. The Jake Estrada cover there, and then we have the Ted Davis cover. There's the Nino Mezzarina cover right there, who's the creator of the Unbelievable Laundry Detergent Man. And then we have the Ted Davis, which I want to tell everybody that's a bestseller right now. Everyone that's come onto the Kickstarter has ordered that cover. I mean, it's awesome. He makes Bocas look larger than life. I mean, he is larger than life. He's 6'9", me, right? And then there goes my mean mug. And then I have the little kid cover there. I mean, this kid, he did phenomenal work. I love his artwork. I was like, oh, cute. Put it up there. And then we got the sketch cover that I also am doing sketches for. Mm-hmm. And then I show myself, the creative team, there goes me, my various other comics I've done over the years. And then I got Nino, again, like I said, Unbelievable Laundry Detergent Man. He's out in Chicago. Great friend of mine. I've known him for years. And then
let's see, here we go.
I got Ted, Ted's an awesome dude as well. And then our editor, Beth Sips, he also does Jonathan's editing for Capable. And then we have all the rewards, the various rewards. You get digital, you get the print copy, you can get the Nino Mezzarina cover, you can get that cover, you can get, tons of different stuff there.
Now, do you find that that you get a lot more traffic as far, because I'm not quite to the point of doing a Kickstarter yet, but I'm doing my research. Do you find that having a lot of variant covers helps?
Comic books is basically the whole idea of a comic book is to have variant covers. That's how I look at it. Some people say it's a terrible idea to have variant covers. People just want one cover. But I think our comic book is about collecting too. You get the collectors, then you get the readers. There's people that prefer certain covers, and then there's people that just wants the plain cover. I think it's a good idea to have variant covers because it's also fun to see what your fellow creator can come up. Like I had Ted asked me a few questions, but I let him create any kind of cover he wanted, and he came out with a marvelous cover. He came out with a masterpiece. And then the same with Nino, and the same with anyone else. I actually have a few other covers coming up for this, but it's not going to be on a Kickstarter. I have an exclusive 9.9 comics cover being drawn up by another artist. It looks fabulous. And then I got Get Yourself a Roll in Bocas too, on there.
Now, for this, when do you think, as long as everything starts opening up again, when is your goal to start filming Bocas 2?
My goal to start jumping in and start filming for Bocas 2 is like January, February, to be honest with you. I've been looking for a warehouse, a huge warehouse, because the idea, I'm going to give a little bit of the idea of what it is. Bocas 2, Bocas, the way it ended, they were in a post-apocalyptic type of world, and Bocas walked away after he supposedly saved the world. Bocas 2 takes place like immediately after the ending of part 1. He thinking he did everything, and then something went wrong. And if anyone hasn't seen the movie, there's a link to that, what went wrong. And then we flash forward a few more years to where the world's like in a prison state. And everyone's in a prison, and the idea is to have this huge prison type world, and the people, it's kind of like paralleling the current events with what could come. And I actually have what I call the Warden of the world. The Warden is controlling all humanity inside like this factory, like prison, and there's where it starts out. And I actually have my trainer on standby because I have an idea where I want to come out. I want to be really buff, and I want to shave my hair off, and and I just have this huge idea, man. And it's like that we're inside.
You're already
prison.
Imposing. You're already like 6'9". Yeah. You're a friggin' beast already.
I'm big, but and my wife is like. My wife's like, these ideas never end, do they? I'm like, I'm sorry, they don't. I was like, and she's like, I know you're going to do it. You get determined for the idea. I'm like, nothing's going to stop me. Yes, it might slow me down for a little bit, but it's going to get done. Now, I have my old thing. We can do this.
Now, do you find that your wife is kind of like the grounded one that kind of says, Jake, come back to earth a little bit, or is she up there with you? Because I know that my husband and I, in a lot of ways, we balance each other. So like if I'm down, if I'm getting dark and depressed and stuff like that, he pulls me up, and at the same time, I kind of pull him down when he's got all of those ideas. Is she your counterbalance, or are you kind of like both like, boom, big?
The thing about it is that I drive everyone crazy, and I drive everybody to run away from me in a long run, and that's one of the biggest problems about life, So ultimately, my counterbalance is myself.
That would imply a split personality, Jake. Does that work?
It kind of works for me because one of the biggest things that keeps me grounded is, I always say, is my kids. Without having kids, I probably would have been really, really off the boat there. And I'm just thankful that I actually have good friends, and a good moral compass of friends and colleagues and everything that has centered me over the years. But for the most part, I don't know. I think, being a little loony, you have to be loony in this world to be a creator as well.
Now, do your kids ever go, oh my God, that's my dad? Or they're like, nope, that's my, no.
So my oldest son, I'm pretty sure he disowned me.
I lived to embarrass my kids.
So. I'm pretty much disowned by my kid, my oldest son. But my daughter, on the other hand, she hasn't disowned me yet. she actually is like, oh yeah, go be loud, Pop, be loud. And I get loud, and my son be like, he's like, I moved away for a reason, I say, you know. and then my youngest son, who people say looks just like me, I'm like, I'm raising him to be the clone of me. Yes, be like me. But honestly, you know, it's just one of those things that, you know, I always tell everybody around me, you know, you have to be you. You know, you have to, if you enjoy something, talk about it, you know, and embrace it. If you're a little loony and you're a little loud, just be loud. Just don't be obnoxious enough that you make someone punch you in the face. And if they can punch you in the face, be sure to take it. I've taken the hits. Come on.
Yeah, you might have had to like kneel down a little bit, you know, or bend over. Just
my internet just punched me in the face and bent me over. Brenda's on the phone with him right now. But so repeat everything that was said while I was gone.
Rewind back.
Bocas.
That's just 10 minutes of Bocas. Now, I don't know again what you guys have discussed while I was gone, but there was one thing that I wanted to ask you, Jake, is who was your favorite old school artist and favorite old school writer? And writer and both of them can be either comics or just mainstream artist or comic book writer or Stephen King or whatever.
So for me in comics, always, I'm gonna go old school. I love tons of comic artists, and I've been inspired by many of them. But my huge and biggest inspiration always has been Jack Kirby. You know, that this was a guy, you know, we've actually talked about on a previous show I did with Meredith once. Jack Kirby was a machine. You know, this guy, people could say his art was crude, this or that, but no, this guy, you know, would just sit there and it was a fountain of ideas. He just drew until he died. You know, he was one of my big inspirations. And then like writers that inspired me to be, you know, into this whole genre of crime noir and stuff like that. Frank Miller. You know, he had, nice. You know, the Daredevil run. Even people could criticize his artwork or his writing. No, but that guy, everything he does is deliberate. Even if it's crude or whatever. The guy's a genius, you know. And I'm like, the guy got Sin City. You know, he has, you know,
Batman Returns. The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, the Dark Knight Returns, which still affects comics today. You know, yes, 30 some years later. People are still trying to be Frank Miller.
And, you know, I just heard the other day that the new Flash is going to bring back Michael Keaton as Batman.
I saw that.
And I've been saying for several years that they needed to do the Dark Knight Returns, the Frank Miller, and have it as Michael Keaton. He's the perfect fucking age. He was a great Batman. But you're right, Frank Miller with the Sin City and the Dark Knight, the Daredevil, man, I can't believe there hasn't at least been a DC attempt at making a animated feature of that, because DC does do some great animated movies. DC, if you're listening, y'all charge too effing much when they come out. I have to wait a month or so for the price to go down, because $20 for an animated movie, even though it's an hour and a half or whatever, that's just too much. Especially if I wait a few months, I can get it on, well, it used to be DC Universe, but now HBO Max.
HBO Max.
Yeah, and a buddy of mine gets that for free, and he lets me hook into his, and so I get everything. But right,
I hear that.
One thing that I do like to ask a lot of those that are in the comic industry, what is your favorite, DC, Marvel, or is it just the indies? And if it's an indie, which title?
You know, for me, it could be almost anything. I love comics so much. Like I've gone from being a fan of Marvel to a fan of DC to a fan of Image Comics at one point.
Yeah,
to following creators. Right now, one of my favorite books is actually from Jonathan Hedrick, Capable. I mean that book. It's, you know, it's an indie comic, but about superheroes and about the handicapped kid, the main hero becoming a hero, and then indie creators like that, that start out small and keep on growing like that. He's a favorite of mine. Jonathan, I follow anything he does. I mean, right now he has Freak Show Night coming out, and he just got picked up by a Second Sight Publications or Productions. I mean, I'm more of I like following creators,
Right.
but besides, independent creator like that, the next person I follow a lot is Ed Brubaker, who does Criminal, who does,
Right.
all those books. I love him and Sean Phillips. So anything those guys do, I think right now we're Image Comics, and I'm always buying the volumes that they release, because these days I don't have room for the monthly floppies for the most part, unless I'm buying the independents from my friends. But
Right.
I buy the big collections, and I love the collections. I can just put it right on the bookshelf. I read right through it, and then I come back 2 or 3 months again and read it again, like it's brand new. So
I'm sorry.
yes.
Go ahead. Wait, Meredith. I had another question to segue off of this. With you being an old school Image Comics fan, old school titles, which one would you like to see become a movie or a series or just a?
You know what I always wanted to see was a Wildcats movie.
That's exactly what I got wrote down here. Grifter, man. Grifter.
Yes, Grifter.
Yes. I wrote the question real quick, and then I put Wildcats and Grifter. I'm the same way. That is the most a really underrated comic line.
Yeah.
Underrated character, man. I have looked for a Grifter statue to go in my case here.
I love Grifter, man. He was one of my favorite characters for years. I mean, anything from that universe, Wildstorm, at the time from Jim Lee, and then how it branched off from all the other things, and it ran before it got totally absorbed by DC, was spectacular. I mean, all the newer stuff they tried doing, it just didn't do it for me. But classic Wildstorm universe was phenomenal, and I can see them creating movies based off of a lot of those things from like old school Stormwatch or Wetworks, all that kind of stuff. Those were the
I forgot about Wetworks.
I used to love Wallace Patricio. I mean, here I was. I think about those comic books all the time. I'm like, yes.
Same
I tell
here,
that to people too sometimes, and they're like, Wetworks? I've never heard of that. I'm like, guys, if you don't know that, we cannot be friends.
Yeah, see, you and I are cut from the same cloth on that, because that was exactly my thinking. Wetworks had completely slipped my mind, but now that you said it, I can picture that number one, because when Image came out, again, being such an old school indie fan, when Image came out, I was like, fuck yes, it's not the big two. And we've got some of the creators that they're actually trying to own their shit.
Yeah, it was awesome time, man.
It
was Blood and Spawn and Savage Dragon, and you had all these different characters coming out, and I mean, it was fresh and it was new, and then it was so fresh they ended up having that crossover with Valiant at the time, Death Mates.
Right? Yeah, that was a great time to be into comics, man. And then the big two started really doing all those freaking crossovers where if you read Batman, all of a sudden you had to get 3 issues of The Flash and Superman and Wonder Woman to continue the storyline. And the indies weren't really doing that. They'd have some crossovers, but they weren't doing this 19 series crossovers. But Jim, I also wrote down Jim Lee, because that was one of my favorites. It still is.
And Jim Lee, he's a fantastic craftsman. He's a brilliant guy. He comes out with ideas, and I mean, he did one of the smartest moves than a lot of those indie guys did. I mean, he left Marvel, he created Image, then he got so big that he sold it to DC and became DC publisher. You're like, dude, you're like playing a game of chess. You see,
he was Batman. He saw several moves ahead.
Yeah.
Now, Meredith, go back, and I saw you write down your question from earlier.
Yeah, I know, because I try not to lose my place like Matthew does a lot of times. So I
haven't done it. I didn't do it.
Not yet. That's because I shut up and let you go.
This is true.
But my question was, if you could, after everything that you said, if you could actually take one IP and make any story that you wanted to, what would it be?
So like off of a
Off of
big
anything.
restart the Wildstorm universe, maybe.
I think we lost Matthew again.
No, not Matthew. Please come back. I beg you.
Come back. Come back, Matthew. Well, you know what? Because we're almost at the end of the hour, and normally I pass the baton back to him because I normally screw up this question. It's the last question of the night. If you were to go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, Jake, what would it be? What would you tell little Jake?
Learn more about marketing and networking.
Would your younger self listen to you?
Probably not, because my younger self would be like, man, I just want to make money, man. I just want to make money. I just want to make money, man.
And where can everybody find you?
You can find me almost anywhere online. You type in Jake Estrada Bocas, Jake Estrada Space Coast Comics, Jake Estrada Space Coast Comic Con, Jake Estrada, period. And you type in, you probably see my mug either bearded or unbearded. And you can find me I'm on all Facebook, MySpace. Is that still a thing?
Is
LinkedIn.
MySpace still around?
I don't know. I just always like throwing that out. But I'm out there everywhere, guys. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. You can look up Bocas, Mr. Bocas. You can look for me, and you see me out there spamming away like everyone else.
Now, the other question I wanted to ask before we close out is because we were talking about alternate covers, variant covers and everything. Yeah. Are you still looking for people to do that, or is it just basically fan-based?
I'm always open to people willing to do alternate covers, and reach out to me if you're looking, because once I'm done Bocas, I'm also going to be launching another Kickstarter for Space Coast Comics. Space Coast Comics, I have my other key hero or villain, I want to call him, Spacey, demon in a spacesuit. And we have that story coming up in Space Coast Comics, which I'm retitling SCCX #1. There's going to be a Kickstarter for that pretty soon. Maybe at the end of December, beginning of January, I should have that out launched. We already have a sexy Ted cover coming from that. I mean, when you guys see that, you're going to be even more blown away. I mean, I'm constantly out there, and we're pushing all kinds of envelopes. If there's envelopes left, there's probably envelopes. So we're out there. We're doing all kinds of different things. I love talking art to people. I love talking to other creative people. You got an idea? Shoot me a message. I'll talk. I don't bite. I might slap you a little bit, but I don't bite, guys.
He only bites if you ask really nicely.
Yeah, I only ask,
Now, Matthew, I already asked him the question, and I didn't screw it up. So if there's anything that you want to close out with, now's the chance. Now's your chance.
Well, I was looking real quick. Oh, wait, I'm under the wrong thing. I was going to play the old bump that we had from Jake, but I don't see it loaded up anymore. I guess we had to make room for other things. But Jake, tell everybody, where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they need to watch for info on the Underpresence and Bocas and all that good stuff, man.
Oh, well, we actually just did that, so we're gonna.
Okay,
that's
well,
what you get for disappearing.
Before I disappeared, I wanted to show Jake something. We were talking about the web series and stuff, and I wanted to.
He did it again.
Poor Matthew, man.
You know what? Here's the thing. Okay, so you guys, if you're watching, okay, he is in Texas. I think there are storms out that way. You know what, Jake? I have to say, I don't want to jinx us because we're in Florida, but we've been pretty unmolested with hurricanes and stuff this year.
Yeah, this year, besides, COVID-19, we've actually had a very, very, very light storm weather. Knocking on wood.
Yeah. Does that scare you? Because I think we're going to get wham, like
That always scares me.
slammed next year. We're going to get slammed.
That always scares me because you know what? People are like, oh, yeah, I tough out storms. Like, no, man. When I hear a storm, I'm like, all right, guys. Where is everybody? I ask everybody I know, friends. I'm like, hey, I'm getting in my car and I'm driving. You want to come with me? I just leave all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, man, I just stay in my house. I'm like, dude, I was born in Philly, man. So I just drive up north. I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, just go up where I just deal with snow. I'd rather deal with snow than a hurricane. And I hate snow.
I have to admit, so I was upstate New York, and we've been down here for almost 6 years, and I don't miss the cold.
No, there's nothing to miss with that.
You know what?
Runny noses.
You know what I miss? I miss rocks.
Rocks, though, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There's no rocks. There's just sand. You just walk around, you're like, man, this is kind of flat. Where's the hill? People are like, oh, there's a little hilly over there. I'm like, that's not a hill.
I think the biggest laugh that I had was the first year that we were down here. We were driving around, and I saw a sign. It was a road sign. It said "Hill blocks view," and we drove by that, and I was like, "Did I read that right?" Because I'm used to like the Adirondacks and the Shawangunk Mountains and the Catskills and Hudson Valley and all that stuff. That's where I grew up, and it was like "Hill blocks view." I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, there's no hills. There's no hills. Unless you're in Tallahassee or something like that. Anywhere else around Florida, there's no hills. There's no flatness. Flatness.
Well, you guys, I don't know if Matthew's going to make it back, so we're going to close out the show. Jake Estrada, thank you so much. Podcast. You guys make sure that
Thank you, Meredith. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you for everything, guys.
Head over to the Kickstarter where we have the links to, I believe we have the links to your Kickstarter. So make sure that you check out the show description. We're going to have this up on the website as well, so you guys know exactly where to follow Jake Estrada, Bocas. Stay tuned for what he's doing with Zoomed, and hopefully good news about Space Coast Comic Con 2021.
I know that's a big thing. That to me is always an important show. That's something that I enjoy doing and putting on and seeing all the smiling faces. That's something that we need. Everybody needs.
Most definitely. So everybody, thank you. Make sure that you tune in and make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're following us on YouTube.
Subscribe, guys, or I will come to your house.
And do it for Jake too while you're at it. All right, we're out of here. Thank you, guys. And we are at it. At Geek Insider, we foster relationships